Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our January catalogers training session. We hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, came back nice and refreshed. And we are going to dive right in because during December, we had some major updates to Polaris and Leap, which we'll talk about later. As usual, if you have any questions, please. Yes, Don, go ahead and do a sound check for me. Okay, we can't hear you though.
Oh, the sound check was to be able to hear you all. So,
okay.
Sorry.
All good, thanks. No problem. Okay, so as usual, please ask your questions in the chat area. Staff will be monitoring to ensure that we see your questions. If we do miss it, please feel free to raise your hand and unmute and let us know. For our share update, two big things. The biggest is that this Thursday is the share annual members group meeting at 2 p.m. via Zoom. If you're interested in attending, and we highly recommend that you do, please register on L2. We do have some fabulous attendance prizes given by Basecamp Technologies. You do have to be in attendance to win. This meeting, we will have both committee and staff updates from the past year, as well as discussions about the proposed policies that are currently listed on the SHARE website under drafts for member comment. I will put that link in the chat box in a minute. Voting on these policies and procedures will take place a week after the meeting. And let me put that in. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to email me and I will be more than happy to discuss at least the cataloging ones. If there's other ones, I can direct you to the correct person to talk to. The other big thing that will be discussed at the annual meeting is Aspen by Bywater Solutions. It is a discovery layer that the share committee has been, various share committees have been evaluating for the past year. And that out of all the ones that they were looked at, that was the one that we felt would be the best fit for our member libraries. If we decide to move forward, it would offer a significant upgrade with additional member engagement tools. Plus, it addresses some ongoing challenges, specifically the current OPAC algorithm, where it is last in, first out when you search for an item, and the current limitations of e-resources integration. To the best of my knowledge, it would be able to do integrations such as Hoopla. There's more information on our website, which is, oh, thank you, Anna, for putting that link in. And there's the link for the Aspen Discovery Layer. There's a lot more information there. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to Cassandra Thompson, and she'll be happy to chat with you about that. I'm going to find the link for the member draft for comment, and I'm going to turn it over to Linda.
Good morning. This is Linda from the Carbondale office, and I am going to remind you about the upcoming Share Bibliographic and Cataloging Standards Committee meeting that will be taking place Friday, January 20th, which is a week from this Friday, and it is from 10 to 12 p.m. And everybody is invited to attend, whether you're a committee member or not. And all those that attend, all share catalogers that attend will receive cataloging CE credit for attending. And if you have any questions, you can contact Jennifer Baugh. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Linda. And can you go ahead and advance the slides to the miscellaneous information and updates, please? One, yeah, perfect. All right, so great news for everyone. On December 23rd, large print books was officially added to the LCGFT genre term list. It has been a long sought after change and it finally happened. So at our upcoming Share Bibliographic and Cataloging Standards Committee, we will be discussing updates to that particular policy. And hopefully after that, we will be able to start implementing it in records, and glorious day, it'll be much easier to find our large print items. So look for that. I will hopefully have a really positive update in February. Next slide, please. Our yearly friendly reminders. Please remember to close out of records when you're finished working with them. And if you don't mind sharing these with your staff as well. We've had some instances where people have emailed us, they're locked out of records. And we are able to quickly release it, but easier just to have everyone close out when they are finished. With encoding levels, when you bring them in from OCLC, they should be blank rather than I. I is no longer used. If you cannot change it in OCLC, change it either when you bring it into Polaris or when you're using Mark Report. Full level records are blank level records. Do not bring in 8 or M. If you do have a record that is a PCC record in OCLC and it won't let you change it, same thing, export it, change it either immediately as soon as it's brought into Polaris or when you're using Mark Report. Do not leave it as an 8 or an M in Polaris. Please include all appropriate and approved GMD in your records. Do not include those in the OCLC master records. So upon export, add those in. Those help our patrons find materials. And then the last thing is item dimensions and runtime. Please make sure that you double check your item dimensions, pagination, and runtimes to make sure that your item matches. Do not change the records in Polaris unless you are 100% certain that there was a typo and that is the only particular copy published and it should be this. Always double check to make sure there's not another record that matches yours. Differences of 2 centimeters or less, 3 pages or less for books with more than 10 pages do not require a new record and do not require a new record. Anything different than that, you probably will need a new record. So reminders for items sent to share cataloging. This is anytime anyone sends anything to us, please put your label, your library name, barcode with your library name, stamps, anything to make sure that we know that it's your item. Otherwise, it ends up on our orphan shelf and we have to send reminders like, is this yours? Please use removable tape. That can be the blue Scotch tape. Painter's tape works. Please don't use packing tape or that really super sticky, shiny, clear tape. It makes your cover sticky. And we've had cases where we could probably restick the label, like regular label to it with no tape because there's so much on there. Do not uncover important information. So UPCs, summaries, runtimes, things like that. Make sure if you send it to us, we are able to clearly see everything. And if at all possible, if you send, especially with Realia, send those items to us, please include the original packaging. A lot of times we need information off that to make the most complete record for you. Okay, next slide, please. And speaking of orphan items, I have 3 slides, one for each hub, of items that we don't know who they belong to. So if you recognize them, please shoot us an email and we'll get them on their way back home. There's also a list on L2, a PDF that you can download with titles and authors and formats. So if you want to share those with your colleagues, if you're like, hey, I think that might belong to that library, reach out to them, let them know, and they can reach out to us. And these slides will be available after the presentation on L2. So if you want to look at the pictures there, they'll be there. Okay, Pam.
Morning, can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Our next Online with the CMC is this Thursday from 10 to 11. It's looking to the future, how to learn about linked data in BibFrame. And I will be presenting that. I'm putting the L2 link in the chat box. The March 27 section of the Cataloging Basics class, Moodle class, is full. So we've added another session for June 19th and then another one for September 11th, and Eric McKinney teaches those. And RDA book training starts next Monday on the 16th, so you can register for that in L2 as well. And I think that's all we have for now.
Thank you, Pam. And any CMC courses do count for your 15 hours of continuing education each year. I will turn it over to Sue and Linda.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to go through some enhancements that's been done to the serials module, specifically in LEAP. Okay, next. So here are the topics we're going to take a look at. You can now create a serial holdings record in LEAP, and you can also work with publication patterns in LEAP, meaning you can do a few little tweaks to pub patterns. there's not a whole lot you can do, but before all you could do was view them. Next. So to create a serial holdings record in LEAP, there's now a direct link to create one, and it's under the little new drop-down menu. So as you can see on this slide, down towards the bottom, it says serial holdings record. Next. When you click that, a blank form opens, and this will allow you to create a serial holdings record in LEAP. And like I said, that's something we couldn't do before these last updates. Next. You can now search for a serial holdings record from the Find tool instead of having to access it through the serials module. So this is new as well. You open up the Find tool, click to open the search by options, and then you can just select serial holdings records to search by. Next. So to search for one, you're going to put in a title. So this is the example of a title search. So the title in this case is Kids Discover. Once you get the title in, you can click the little filter icon that's down by the search button. And you can go next. It will open the Find tool, and to add a filter, we're going to click Add Condition. And the easiest way to do this, if you're looking for your own serial holdings record, is just to limit by branch. So as you can see down at the bottom, I'm limiting by branch, and I've selected my library. I'm going to click Apply and Next. And now I can click the search buttons because my search is set up with my branch filter. The results display, and to open, you can either double click on the line or you can click the open button to open that record. Next. From here, you can edit your serial holdings record. And this is a view of the details tab. So there's several tabs across the serial holdings record. This is the first tab, and it's the details tab. And this tab, there are some edits you can make here. Next. And then we have the notes tab. Next. And the orders tab. And next. And the last tab is the claims tab. And once you're done viewing or editing the serial holdings record, you can either save it if you've made some changes, or you can just close it with the close button. Next. So working with publication patterns. Now you can work with pub patterns in LEAP. And for those of you who don't know, a publication pattern is a pattern created to predict future serials, issues, or parts. So we create this. The share staff creates these, and then you can attach to them, and they will predict your upcoming issues of magazines. In previous versions of LEAP, you could view the pub pattern in LEAP, but you couldn't really do anything to it besides view it. Next. So now you can do a few things with it. So to find the pub pattern, you need to go to your serials holding record first. And at the bottom of the details tab lists the pub patterns that are currently kind of attached to that serial holdings record. So this example, there's just one, but often you may see more than one. You might see one in there that's closed that you were using for a while and you closed it and you're now attached to a different one. So sometimes there's more than one listed. In this example, there's just the one. Next. To view the pub pattern, you just click on it. It opens up. And again, we have some tabs on the pub pattern. The first tab is the details view. Next. Second tab is the designation view, which shows the enumeration and chronology values. So this kind of tells you how often the magazine comes, you know, when it's published, how often it's published. And next, and the last tab is the regularity pattern. So the only edits that can be made on a publication pattern are in the details view and the start and end dates on the designation view. So there's not a ton of things you can change in a pub pattern, but now there are a couple things you can change in LEAP when before you could only view it. Next. You can also now close, open, or delete a pub pattern. So this was not possible either until the update. And to close a pub pattern, all you do is just put a little check mark in the one you want to close and click the close pattern button. Next. Same thing. I mean, you do the same thing if you would like to reopen a pattern or delete a pattern. So you're just going to select it and click reopen or click delete. Next. So these are just some reminders when working with serials. To avoid confusion, only share staff actually creates and basically edits publication pattern templates. Like I said, there's a couple things you can change in there yourself. If you receive a new serial or notice that the pub pattern of a currently received serial has changed, please contact either me or Linda Johnson. Both of us can help you out with that. And when you send in a request for a new pub pattern, please include the following information. Well, obviously, we need to know what the title is. We would like to know what months it's published, the most recent volume and or issue number on the most current magazine you have, the number of times it's issued per year, and the publication regularity. I mean, is it a monthly, a weekly, a bi-monthly serial? Next. So here's, I mean, if possible, we would love to have pictures of your serial. It's really helpful for us when we're trying to create a pub pattern. So this is just a picture of the cover of a magazine. Sometimes there's good information on there. The next picture, well, this picture is included because it actually has some small print at the bottom that tells you that this issue counts as 2 issues, but that your subscription terms will remain the same. So that page had some important information. Next. So here's what we call the title page of the magazine. It's normally found in the front, but it sometimes is in the back. So, you know, hopefully it's somewhere on the magazine. And also, if possible, a picture of the spine. A lot of times the spine has good information on it as well, as far as the, you know, the volume and issue number and that kind of stuff. So if you're wanting us to create a new pattern and you can send us these pictures, that would be very helpful. Next. I think that's it. Yeah. So for more information or questions, again, you can contact Linda or me, either one, and we'll help you out. I think that's it for serials.
Thanks, Sue.
Mhm.
So I will go over the cataloging enhancements that were made mostly for LEAP that came out between 7.1 and 7.3 in our most recent update. Next slide, please. All right, so our topics, spine labels, keyboard shortcuts, merging / replacing duplicate records, the consolidated view on LEAP items, and then there's some smart technical updates, which a little wordy, but we'll get there. Next slide, please. So you can now create, view, and edit spine labels in LEAP. So when you're in there, if you go up to the top right corner of your screen, select utilities, and then by the arrow label manager, that will take you to your spine labels. To set them up though, it's a slightly different process. Next slide, please. So the spine label printing in LEAP is a PDF printing function, and it'll honor the settings that you have in Polaris. So to configure that with your default label when you're using LEAP, you go up to the top right corner again, you'll select your username and then settings. And that'll take you to your large screen of settings, which is on the next slide. Looks like this. And then the section we are interested in is the one at the bottom with label options. And from there, next slide. Under label type, you'll select the type of labels that you will be printing, whether it's spine sheets, which would more than likely be like a label sheet that I can't think of the right word, like label sheets you'd run through an inkjet printer, or if you have continuous feed rolls where you have the little label printer that spits them out one at a time, you're going to select the option that works best for you. If you want to make that your default, you'll click on that little box under that drop-down menu that says use as label manager default. And that will set the default for all the computers. So under print method, you're going to choose which option best fits your workflow. On demand is best if you want to edit your label content before printing. This is ideal for those label sheets where you have multiples that you print at one time, because you'll be able to go in and make individual edits. Batch, you can queue up to 500 labels and then print them, but I don't believe you can go back and edit them. And then quick print is for those individuals who use the little label printers and they print a label at a time as they make them. You should be able to edit them though. Once you've chosen which one works best, you're going to select save at the top of the screen. Next slide, please. If you have any problems configuring your labels, printing, or if the margins are off, please do reach out to either myself or Dina. There are some settings that we have to do at the administration level, particularly margins, because it does affect other things. But we are more than happy to help with that. Okay, next slide. There are also now some new keyboard shortcuts available in Leap that are below. I have not personally tried them out yet. If you have any problems and you try them out, let me know and we can do a little more digging, but you should be good. And I forgot to mention that on L2, I have posted 3 different documents of all the changes that we have talked about. One for serials, one for cataloging, and then there's one for our acquisitions libraries. I didn't put it in this presentation since there aren't that many of them, but the documentation is out there for you. And if you do want the full documentation of everything that's been updated, I'd be more than happy to give that to you as well. Just send me an email. Next slide. So you can now also replace duplicate records in Leap if you're comfortable. This is still, merging still remains optional for all catalogers. If you're not comfortable, please just send us an email and we are more than happy to take a look at it here at the system. So when you go in and save your bibliographic record, just like in Polaris, it will pop up with a box saying, these records match for this particular reason, or they're similar. And you can decide if they are an identical match by looking at them. If it is, you would click on the little box next to the control number and then replace at the bottom, and it will retain the record that you're currently in and replace the one that you've selected. If you do this and it is a bad merge, please just email me. It is a very quick fix. We can undelete it, get it all right again, and not a big deal. Just let me know. And there was a question. Yes, there are. Jill asked, are there duplicate instructions in the cataloging notes you referenced? Yes, there are. And then if you need further instructions or need anything, let me know. Merging is optional in the sense that if you come across it, you are welcome to merge it if you're comfortable doing it. But if you're not, please let us know. It's if you want to do it yourself or just send it to us. We don't want to force people who cleans up the merges. It would depend. If you're comfortable doing the merge yourself, then you can take care of it. If you're not, send it to us. And if a bad merge happens, we take care of it here in the system because we can undelete things.
Sorry, I'm just going to talk because it's easier
Yeah.
than
Please
typing. No, what I'm saying is, like, if merging is optional, and I see this all the time, you have, like, 20 people waiting on an on-order record, but there's a circulating copy and it could be merged. Like, you look at it, it could be merged, then we're all just sort of holding up these 20 people from getting their material because people aren't merging records. And so that would be my sort of devil's advocate side. But when I said, like, who cleans it up. So like, for example, if we aren't merging because you're saying it's optional, so in fairness, people can do what they want, then who's going along and going like, oh, there's all these on order records with patrons waiting on material that could be merged into these bib records, but nobody's doing it. Who's doing it? Or is your staff doing it?
We do merge them as we come across them or we get notifications. But if this is something that people would like to be covered in a catalogers training session, I would be happy to put together one so that we can get everyone more comfortable with merging records.
If
And
I could hop in too, I
Yeah.
get really frustrated that somebody has brought in the mark record and not merged my non-mark on order record that matches up. So then, people end up circulating on my non-mark record, and then I have to merge the record when I finally get my item. So it's kind of weird that people won't merge.
Agreed. And yes, I think a class would be fantastic because I think in fairness to the people who maybe aren't merging, there's a bit of a little fear of, oh God, if I merge something and I screw it up, then there's going to be one of those emails that go out, which is totally fine. And there should be an email that goes out that says bad merge, check your record, completely fine. But I think it sort of makes people hesitant to merge because they don't want to end up being the
Understood.
reason that happened.
I understand. So I will reassure everybody, just let me know. I'm not going to be mad. None of us will be mad if you accidentally make a bad merge. So yes, we will add it to the agenda. Maybe that's something we can do next month so we can get this process started. But just let me know in regards to if you make a bad merge or if you see one that needs to, just immediately email me and we'll get it taken care of. So plan next month, we'll do merging. And hopefully that will make it better for all of our patrons. Any other questions, concerns regarding this? Next, so then another newish thing in Leap, they've consolidated the 2 item record screens. There used to be a detailed view and a control view. They're now in one work form. What was appeared on the control view in previous versions is now located at the bottom. The control view included things like loanable outside system, do not mail to patron, holdable, your hold limit. So that's just in a new location, just FYI. Next screen.
Sorry.
Nope. You're fine. Go back one, please.
Sorry, Jennifer.
Wrong one. You're good. And then one more. Okay, thank you. So there were a lot of mark updates in these sets of updates. The main 2 that we may see would be the mark update number 30 and the mark update number 31. The technical updates had more to do with various thesauri and authority information. That would be mostly back-end stuff. I just put it on here in case you were reading the full handouts that were submitted by or sent out by Polaris, just to indicate, yes, we know they're there, but anyway, moving on. Next slide. Jill asked, with all these enhancements in Leap cataloging, should we be moving staff to do more Leap cataloging? Are the Polaris client end times near? I'll start with the second one. No, as to the best of my knowledge and from what I have heard from Polaris, the end times of Polaris are not near. They just aren't doing as many feature upgrades in it. And I imagine there will be less and less over time. They are focusing their attention on Leap and their new discovery layer. It's up to you. A lot of people are finding that they really do like cataloging in Leap. And if you want your staff to do that, that's great, especially down the road if Polaris all of a sudden is like, nope, no more Polaris client, which I doubt. Don't freak out. So up to you. It is web-based, so it looks cleaner. It looks less like it's from the 90s. It's definitely something that I know I need to do more of, cataloging in Leap, because if I get questions, it takes me a little bit to answer them since I don't use it very often. So for the mark technical updates, the new fields that you may see going forward, the 335 is the extension plan. The categorization reflecting an intention to extend the content of a work. We probably won't have many items that have this. I'm thinking more technical manuals, things like that. But if you see it, Polaris will accept it. It will work with it nicely. Next slide. And there's more information at the bottom of the slides that you can go to bib standards if you're curious about it. And then manifestation statements, it contains manifestation statements, information that describes the manifestation itself. So lots of subfields. If you go to the next slide, the examples that I could find look like this. It's very messy. We probably won't see ourselves using it, but if you see it in a record, it's okay. And Polaris will accept it. We're not going to tell you to take it out. And there's additional information that's linked on the slide below. And next slide, please. And there are also some new subfields. The first one is in the 345, which is your moving image characteristics. It added subfield C, the aspect ratio value. It's the numerical ratio of the width to the height of a moving image. It's going to look like that example, subfield C 16:9 widescreen. You'll see that a lot in movies going forward. And then additionally in the 345, they added subfield D, which is the aspect ratio designator. It's the general description of the ratio of the width to the height of the moving image. So what's above. However, there may be instances where you have other things with like mixed aspect ratios. Same thing, you'll see it. It's in there. We are planning on doing a catalogers training session on the 340s. So look for that in the near future and we'll go through everything again. And then the 340, they added subfield P, illustrative content. It's the general and or specific indication of the type or types of illustrative content present in a resource. So examples, you have your subfield G color and then illustrations, because the illustrations are in color, or maps, it's one color. Next slide. Questions about any of the things we've covered today, cataloging in general? We'll open the floor. All right. Hearing none and seeing none. Our next training event that Share is putting on will be Tuesday, January 24th. That is Share Your Cataloging Questions. We've had great attendance in the past, and we'd love to see that continue to grow. It is an open hour where the Share catalogers are available for any and all questions. If you would like us to go over records live to show you a specific field that you need help with or a specific format of the record, we're happy to do that. You can also bring your records if you'd like for us to look at them if you have questions. Attendance at that does give you 1 hour of CE credit, and you can attend for your one question and leave, and you still get that full hour. Okay, and then the next catalogers training session will be February 14th, so Valentine's Day. And as we discussed earlier in this meeting, we will talk about merging records. Any other questions that brought forth? Okay, well then everyone who attended today will get 1 hour of CE credit. We will work on getting attendance into L2 today, and then we'll work on getting the presentation and all of its materials both up on L2 and on the Moodle training platform if you would like to review it down the road, or if you missed the session, it'll be there for you as well. All right. Thank you for attending, everyone.